Today we'll be going over the new Smart Bonus to work out any kinks and other issues that you may have while you're filling it out. We've recently gone through some modifications to the Smart Bonus and wanted to make sure that everybody understood how they were compensated and how to go about figuring out how to calculate your bonus. So here we have the new bonus structure. It's all color-coded, and each color-coded section ties to the specific area that you're going to want to fill in. Today we'll be dealing with a sample property that is 210 units. So we are looking at the 201 to 250 unit category. Each Smart Bonus is going to be different based on the size of your property. Your regional should be able to give you your correct format, or anybody at Comunidad. So let's start by figuring out what the turnover ratio for our property is. Our turnover ratio is calculated by taking the number of move-outs, skips, evictions, and transfers, multiplying that by 12, and then dividing that by the total unit count. This can be found in your resident activity report. So let's come here and open our resident activity report. Go to the last page that gives us our summary. So here we see that the property has 1 transfer and 5 move-outs. So we'll come here to calculate. We have 1 transfer plus 5 move-outs to give us a total of 6. We're then going to take this 6 number and multiply it by 12 to give us our annual turnover percentage. On average, we'll turn over about 72 units on a yearly basis, going off of the assumption that we have 1 transfer a month and 5 move-outs a month. In order to figure out what our percentage is, we're then going to divide this by our total unit count, which is 210. Gives us a messy decimal, which we can then multiply by 100 to make it look a little nicer. 34.3% is our turnover percentage. We come back over here and realize that the property actually fits into this first category here, 35% or less turnover. So they'll get $750 this month. So we'll come down here and write $750. Next, NOI bonus. If the NOI is met, the property will receive $300. This is usually found in the final budget, and since we do not yet have financials, I will just tell you that the property did hit their NOI bonus. So this will be $300 right here. Third section is the work order completion. In order to check on the work order completion ratio, we have to look at the work order status report. What we want to do is make sure that we are looking at the work orders that are completed for our residents. We really want to make sure that our residents are happy, and we want to reward our maintenance crew for making sure that all maintenance related issues are taken care of. So here, resident request work orders had an 89% completion ratio. Coming back to our worksheet, we can see that the requirement was to have a minimum of 60% completed. So they definitely did meet that. So they'll be getting the $300. If they didn't have any work orders outstanding for more than 7 days, they would also be given $300. We can look at this by looking at the Facilities tab under Service Request in order to verify this. Because I do not have access to my website right now, I will tell you that this property did have no work orders older than 7 days. So they'll actually be getting $600 total for this month. Next, we're going to go to leasing commissions. we have to figure out a couple of things here. So we have to first figure out where the property closed at the end of the month in order to determine which leasing tiers they're going to be rewarded on. So in order to do this, we're going to look at your box score report. Here on the box score report, we can look down here and see that the occupancy rate was 94.2, so they were just shy of hitting 95%. Coming back to our worksheet, if a property is not at 95 but above 90, they'll be right in this tier right here, which is exactly where this property is. Now we need to figure out how many move-ins and how many renewals this property had for the month. In order to do so, we're going to be looking again at our resident activity report. Our resident activity report shows that there were 12 move-ins for this month and there were 13 renewals that were signed. So there are a lot of different reports that we can look at in order to determine how many leases and how many renewals there are. But to keep everything simple and to just have a snapshot of that month's performance, resident activity is probably the best report that we're going to be looking at. And it also helps us stay consistent if all of our properties are looking at the exact same report. So we're going to come over here, and the property is going to have 5 move-ins at $25 because their occupancy was 94%. So 5 times 25 will give us $125 in leasing commissions. Now we always want to look at how many move-ins happened during the month instead of how many leases were signed, because oftentimes we can notice that leases, although they are signed, people do not actually move in. So by using how many move-ins you had per month, we can actually assure that leases were signed and residents did move in. Now let's look at our renewal commissions. Total renewals signed were 13. So we'll come back here and we'll say 13 renewals at 94% equal $975. Lastly, we'll come over to our other income section, and this is where we will give bonuses based on fees that are generated from pets or satellites or carports, washer dryer rentals, any ancillary incomes that any staff member is actively promoting. They'll be able to participate and receive that premium. So for example, if we're leasing a full unit upgrade at $590, when the standard unit leases for $550, the staff member would earn the additional $40 difference for the upgrade of the unit in lieu of a standard leasing commission. So this is actually pretty cool, because if we look at the leases, you can only get a max of $30 per lease. However, if we're leasing an upgraded unit and your premium for an upgrade is $40, $550 for a standard versus $590, you're actually going to make a little bit more by going ahead and trying to lease that upgraded unit. Another example is if you're renting out a carport for $15 a month. That staff member would earn the carport commission equal to the first month's fee, which would be the $15. So it's definitely a way that we would like to reward our staff for all their hard work in dealing with residents and trying to upsell a lot of the programs and ancillary services that we offer. This property did not have any other income that would qualify for this month, so we can't list anything here. Because we can't pull anything off of one site in order to help us figure out the other income, that is where we would need the property site to monitor what their other incomes would be, so that we can track it and make sure that we are properly paying out on all of that hard work. So that is your SMART bonus. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at Comunidad or contact your regional so that we can answer any questions for you. And also, please keep in mind that when we are pulling reports and looking at activity, we are looking from the end of closeout date to the beginning of closeout date for the next month. So from the 26th of the month to the 25th of the month. We know that it would be easier to do from the 1st of the month to the 30th of the month, but in order to be consistent with how our accounting works, it's just a little more standardized if we go from the 26th to the 25th of the month. So please keep that in mind when you're pulling your reports. You can see here that I pulled the resident activity report for May 26, 2015 through 6/25, 2015 in order to figure out the activity for the month of June. Also, please make sure that you're submitting all of your SMART bonus worksheets to Comunidad first so that we can go over it and make sure that you're properly recording everything correctly so that you're compensated correctly every time, and we can figure this out before we submit to regionals. Hopefully that answers all of your questions for the SMART bonus, but if not, please feel free to give us a call. Thanks so much. Happy leasing and renewing.